What's up, YouTube? Welcome to Cars, Costs, and Technology. Today's video is a little bittersweet for me. Like you saw in the title and the thumbnail, I did sell my Corvette. Overall, I'm sad to see it go, but excited about the opportunity to move on to something new and different. But I just want to take a moment to sort of go over some of the reasons I decided to go ahead and make that call, go ahead and move on selling it right now versus waiting, or just some of the influencing factors there. But I think the biggest thing has got to be the fact that from the beginning, originally looking at that car and deciding to buy it, I knew it was going to be sort of a stepping stone for me. I already knew about the rumors and some of the information about the next generation Corvette or C8 being announced or going into production within the next couple of years. So obviously, the way that that's going to impact the value, a new generation coming out, you can't help but be aware of that and keep that in mind as you look at something like the C6. With just the C7 being out right now, it's still relatively current. Still looked somewhat new. Obviously, everyone knows that there is a newer generation now, but it's by no means dated, especially considering that same body style was made all the way up until 2013. But with something new within the next couple of years, it's now going to be two generations behind, which is obviously going to impact the value pretty significantly. So there's that. There's a few other factors as well. So let's go over value. Alright, so obviously it's pretty difficult to pin down an exact value with cars. There's so many different variables. It's really difficult to tell exactly how much a car would be worth or exactly what you could sell it to any given buyer for. But what I tried to do as a good consistent reference point was take Kelley Blue Book value of comparable Corvette models with the exact same mileage and same standard features on. So kind of taking out some of the variables. I know it's still not going to be 100% accurate, but still gives you a really good baseline that you can kind of get the bigger picture when it comes to value and how the value in generations and years is correlated. So you can see with the 2015 and 2014, obviously being C7 Stingray Corvettes, very little depreciation between the two. And again, this is with the exact same features, exact same mileage. Then you go down to a 2013 with the exact same features and exact same mileage, but just being the older generation, a huge drop off, over $10,000 of depreciation right there, just being a different generation. And then the 2012, same thing, that being also a C6, very little depreciation, being the same body style or same type in that C6 generation. Then you kind of go backwards farther, you can see the 2006 and 2005 example. According to Kelley Blue Book, those are actually worth almost the exact same amount, so very little depreciation or change in value whatsoever between those 2 years. And then jumping down to the C5 body style and the 2004 and 2003 model years, not quite as significant as the drop off between 14 and 13, but still about a $5,000 drop off, and then a very small drop off from 2004 to 2003. But anyway, I think that this shows the big picture, which is you stand to lose quite a bit of value when a new generation comes out. So I just feel like it's wise to go ahead and make the move now before the next generation comes out. I think I might be a little bit early, but better safe than sorry. So in addition to the resale value being a huge factor, there's also the consideration of the difficulties involved with a private party sale or even trade-in as the age crosses that 10 to 11 year threshold. There are a lot of banks that will not lend money to a private party to purchase a car 10 plus years old. Of course, there are going to be loan options out there that are going to give someone the ability to purchase it regardless of the age. There are also lenders out there that do specialize in classic car financing and things like that. But I'm just talking about your everyday general person interested in buying a mid to low end sports car for weekends or things like that. They most likely aren't going to have access to just cash to pay for the purchase price or the price I'm asking for. So I knew as soon as I get too much farther into 13 years old, 14 years old, 15 years old, it's going to narrow down my market of buyers drastically, just because there's going to be so many potential buyers that may not be able to get financing arranged, unless if they have cash available to go ahead and buy it outright. Their bank, credit union, things like that are going to be less likely to work with them because of the vehicle's age. So it's just a big factor that it doesn't sound like much, but if you cut your potential buyers in half because of the difficulties they're going to have with financing, you might have a hard time moving it. I just didn't want to get stuck in that position, especially with me already weighing my options in the future and excited to move on to something different. I didn't want to wait too long and then find myself stuck. So huge factor. Another thing that's definitely not a determining factor in selling the car, but was also was definitely sort of a nudge, I guess you could say. And this is going to happen in any sports car, but I think the Corvette in particular, being bright red with the black rims, just stood out so much. I ended up getting some unwanted attention. I put that into one of my videos before, but I actually ended up getting pulled over for wearing my seatbelt incorrectly. Not wearing my seatbelt, wearing it, but wearing it incorrectly. It was definitely a tough thing to face. Sort of a long story, but ended up pulling into my church actually, and being pulled over in my church parking lot. The officer, noticed that I had my seatbelt on incorrectly. Um, was not going above the speed limit, was not driving recklessly, nothing like that. He just noticed that my seatbelt was on incorrectly. I hope that when he had ran my record, he'd noticed that I haven't been pulled over in 8 years, never had a speeding ticket, never had an at-fault accident. Definitely not what you'd consider a reckless driver or anyone who's causing problems on the roads. But he still did ticket me for wearing my seatbelt incorrectly. I was pretty surprised and very discouraged. Not at the police officer. I know he was just doing his job, and I'm thankful that they're not cutting people breaks, and they are no bias or being partial. They're just making sure that everyone's being safe and following the same rules. So I can't blame them at all for doing their job, making sure that I'm safe. And it could be a great lesson for me. But who knows? There could be an accident in the future where wearing my seatbelt correctly could make a huge difference in my safety. So overall, I don't blame them. I'm not mad at the situation, but one thing they did point out is that they noticed the car. They saw me, they liked the car, it caught their attention, and I can't help but feel discouraged that if I was in any other car, say my wife's car or just any other standard car, they would not have noticed me. They definitely would not have pulled me over in my church parking lot to give me a ticket for wearing my seatbelt the wrong way. They may have either A, overlooked it, or B, just let it slide. But I think being in that type of car had a huge impact on that situation, and it was tough. At my age, I don't want tickets. I don't want to be pulled over. It's the last thing I want is to increase my costs or make things more difficult on myself. So to feel like you're doing everything correctly, or at least trying to, and still get pulled over and ticketed, it was pretty discouraging. So anyway, guys, just in summary, Corvette's gone. Sad to see it go, but super excited for doing some car shopping. It's always my favorite thing, is doing some research, looking at different options, test driving. So I'm excited for that. Also, really optimistic about the market right now. I think there's a lot of cool cars to choose from. I'm hoping to get some feedback from viewers and commenters on, what's a good deal right now, what everyone else seems to be liking. If you personally own a car that you'd recommend, definitely drop me a comment below. Let me know, what it is, why you see value in it, and but anyway, just excited for a new chapter. Try to find something new and make some good content on that car as well. But thanks for watching. Please give the video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel for more videos. Have a great day.